Okay, so you guys just saw the trailer. Looks pretty cool. Looks fun, right? All right, now here's my question. How many of you made forts when you was a little kid? Because me personally, maybe I'm dating myself, because I guess with computers, people don't do that anymore. I don't know. I used to like build forts and hide them made out of cardboard boxes or things like that. I don't know. Maybe what we could do is we can ask Nick Smith about this. He's one of the artists on the game from EarthWorks. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me, mate.
So, let's start with that. Have you ever, did you ever do building forts when you were a kid?
Yeah, definitely. When I was a younger kid, I used to make forts and stuff. I definitely remember making forts in the woods as well, playing army games and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's definitely part of my childhood.
I mean, there definitely wasn't any blowing up your enemy forts, even though we had imagination for that. It's kind of cool that now. You have a game now that you can actually do that. And, as we saw in the trailer, it's really action-packed, and I like the fact that, you're building it in real time and you're creating everything. You can upgrade it. Can you tell us a little bit about, how the gameplay unfolds?
Yeah, so generally speaking, the gameplay unfolds. You start off with a small fort. It's only a sort of, let's say, a few, sort of 3 or 4 stories high. You got the reactor, which is obviously the heart of your fort. And then usually you might have like a mine or a small, one of those smaller weapons, machine gun or a sniper, and there from then on you sort of build up. The usual first step is to build probably another mine, because the ore is what's really required to do the building. So you have ore and energy. Energy is more used for firing weapons, and as you build up your fort, you build up your tech tree, either a workshop or an upgrade center, and as you unlock these buildings, it unlocks more weapons, bigger and better weapons. And as you get to a certain height, you'll want to put in some of those wind turbines. That gets you the energy. The higher up, the more energy efficient they are. And so, yes, it basically goes like that. We've restricted the area you can build on the ground in order to promote height as opposed to short, wide forts, which makes a more interesting game and requires a lot more knowledge and use of physics.
Yeah, I noticed that was really cool in the trailer that you were building it on different platforms, and sometimes it was kind of on the ground on the side of a mountain, and it was kind of like lifted up, and so it gives you different ranges of attacks, like I saw with the different ballistic weapons and things like that. And then at the end you had like a nuke weapon. So I guess what happens is over time you unlock the better weapons that you can face off against other forts.
Yeah, that's right. So you really sort of working towards. I mean, if it's a smaller fort, you can win with a smaller map. Sorry, if your forts are close, you can win with mortars or upgraded mortars or missiles. But if it's a larger map, you definitely want to get one of the end game weapons, which is the laser or the cannon. And the mushroom cloud you saw is for when the reactor explodes. Basically, that's telling you that you've either won or lost, depending on whose reactor goes up.
So you yourself, you've been in the industry for a long time. It says 13 years, and you worked on games such as Total War. I mean, what was that like working back on?
Yeah, that was great. I mean, I started working. My first job in the industry was in 2001 at Creative Assembly in the UK, and they just published Shogun Total War. I just happened to put out some mini portfolios, and they got back to me. I got a job there, so that was fun working on those games. And then I came over to Australia, working on the Total War, Medieval 2 Total War here at Sega Studios in Brisbane, and that's where I met Tim.
And then you guys got together and you made this studio. Has it been hard making that transition to doing indie? I mean, we talk to a lot of great indie studios, and sometimes they talk about, the struggle that can be trying to break through when everyone's just concerned about whatever the AAA titles, even though there's a lot of really great games coming out for indie studios like yours.
We still work for, we're just working on forts in our spare time. So that's why, in some of the stuff it's taken so long to come to the point where it is now. I still work, I do freelance artwork, and I also work on contract for Defiant Development in Brisbane, who made Hand of Fate recently this year. And Tim is installs permaculture gardens, all-you-can-eat gardens, and that sort of thing. So that's his business. He left Sega in like 2009 or 2010 and started up his business. So forts went on the back burner then, but 2013, we got back on it.
So being in the industry for that long, I mean, obviously you like games, you like creating games. Was there like a classic game that either was an inspiration for you to get into the industry or maybe for Forts itself?
Well, visually, it was the part I was responsible for. It was definitely I like the look of and the animations of the Metal Slug series. That was a really big inspiration. When Tim had the bare bones of the game and the main concept was all there, but we originally were going to. It was intended to be in 3D, but being more of a 2D artist, I was keen to give it a bit more of a 2D look, a bit more cartoony, a bit more sort of friendly looking like that. So it's been really fun to do that. As far as the concept of the game goes, Tim came up with it from a game you used to play as a kid, like pen and paper kind of game where you draw out your thoughts and mark out where you're firing at each other and stuff. I think he's got a little image or one of those drawings still somewhere around. But yeah, that's sort of like the inspiration. Obviously, played stuff like Worms and that, back in the day.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, I do see where it kind of has that influence of Metal Slug, and because I do like that art style. I mean, yeah, everyone's going 3D and everyone wants to go, higher res, but sometimes the 2D styling, especially if done right, looks really good, and it plays well with weapons fire and explosions and things like that. So it comes off really well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm really interested in the sort of like the explosion of pixel art in the last few years. That's really really enjoyable. You give somebody a sort of like a constraint like that, and it really makes them like low res constraint, and really makes them sort of think creatively how they can get the most out of it, which I really enjoy seeing. And stuff like on Tumblr, you'll see a lot of GIFs and things of like some artists are just GIF artists and just making little pixel art animations and stuff. And yeah, I really like the look of that. So I was keen to try that out myself.
And so in a couple of days, you guys are going to be heading over to the Geo 423 Symposium as well, right? And you're going to be showing this off?
Yeah, that's right. That's in Brisbane, our hometown. It's at QUT. And we went to it last year with obviously an earlier version of the game. And that was really fun showing the game up to all the, because it's a free event. So there's a bunch of other developers there, plus just, public and students and stuff come through. And it's really fun to see how people play the game and how they approach it. You have different people. Some people will have a quiet moment there, and someone's just quite happy to sat there, sort of building their little fort and working out how it works, and just really taking their time. And there'll be other people who watch a couple of games and be stood at the back, just sort of like watching it and downloading it into their heads, and then they'll take the reins and really be quite adept at it from straight off the bat.
Cool. So this game's going to be coming out on PC, and it's going to be coming out later on this year. You guys don't have a direct date as of yet, but probably later in the year, like in the fall?
Well, we're hoping for early access in the fall, like you say, hopefully in time for PAX Australia, which is in Melbourne at the end of October. And then as for the full release date, we're not entirely sure about that yet. So, yeah, we're working towards getting something out, sooner rather than later, for sure.
Cool. And you guys are working with the Steam Greenlight, right?
Yeah, that's right. We've got a Steam Greenlight page. Currently sat at number 7. We've got over like 6,000 votes. It's gone really well. I think the game really makes for an entertaining trailer. People like seeing things getting blown up, all the physics and stuff. It's really quite satisfying to see. So it's really connected with a lot of people. I think it sort of comes down to what you're saying before about the, building forts as a kid and that sort of childlike enjoyment of building things, but also knocking things down. In my initial email and press release, I started off by saying, have you ever wanted to kick over someone's sandcastle? So I think it sort of like appeals to that sort of thing.
Yeah, kicking it over with a nice bomb or a gigantic railgun.
Yeah, overkill.
Hey, but that's why we love games. Well,
yeah,
the game is Forza. It'll be coming out at least in early access in the fall, so keep a look for that. We'll put up information on the site so you guys can keep a track of that. But Nick Smith, thanks for coming on and talking with us.
Thank you very much, J.A.